You know what we haven't done yet? A master story. But thankfully, subscriber Lachlan K understood the assignment and requested we tackle the very first one. Originally envisioned as Moriarty to the Dr. Sherlock Holmes, this master would go on to plague Pertwee in what felt like every other story. But Roger Delgado was a really fantastic foil, suave, theatrical, and genuinely menacing. Plus, we get a second helping of those creepy plastic Auton bastards as a bonus. So let's jump in and bathe in the absolute suaveness of Roger Delgado. Let's get into Terror of the Autons. Subscribe, or a plastic flower will shoot clear goo all over your face and suffocate you. On Earth, the Master shows up at a circus with a working chameleon circuit. Nice to see how they actually are supposed to work. And immediately and easily hypnotizes the manager like it's nothing. He needs help stealing a leftover Nestine energy unit from the National Space Museum, which he does by just walking in and taking it, because that's how he rolls. Meanwhile, Liz Shaw has fucked off back to Cambridge because she got tired of the doctor treating her like a lab assistant who occasionally gets to hold a gun. The Brigadier replaces her with Joe Grant, who immediately ruins 3 months of the doctor's work by putting out a fire on his bench. The doctor tries to get the Brigadier to fire her, then he tries to do it himself, but Joe is so painfully nice and earnest that he just can't go through with it. Aw, what a softie. The Master takes over a radio telescope, hooks up the energy unit, and starts charging it with Nestine power from space. The Doctor heads up to investigate and gets a visit from a Time Lord in a bowler hat who's floating in midair like a weirdo. This guy warns him the Master is back and that the door is booby-trapped. Then he fucks off again. Thanks for showing up, dick. The Master disarms the trap, opens a lunchbox, and finds a shrunken corpse inside. His name was Albert Googe. Pour one out. The Brigadier sends Joe and Yates to check out some plastic factories. Joe immediately slides down a hill for no reason, gets caught, and the Master hypnotizes her into bringing a bomb back to unit. That don't matter though. The Doctor just throws the bomb out the window. Then he snaps Joe out of it. Meanwhile, the Master activates a killer plastic chair that suffocates a guy at the factory. It's genuinely one of the most hilarious kills in classic Who. I insist you watch it.
No, I will not tolerate his insults.
The Master tries to hypnotize the factory owner's dad, and fails, so he just turns the car heater up and leaves a plastic doll in the back seat like the pettiest motherfucker alive. The doll wakes up later and rips the old man's throat out. Again, f***ing awesome. The Doctor finally decides he wants to go to the circus. Damn, he does love a circus. But doesn't want Joe's chipper ass tagging along. Joe, being Joe, hides in the back of Bessie anyway. At the circus, the Doctor finds the Master's TARDIS, gets jumped by a strongman and the owner, and Joe has to bash the strongman over the head with a vase to save him. I don't know how she did it without a stepladder, considering how short she is, but good on you, Joe. The Master has more shit up his sleeve because he left Professor Phillips as a human grenade. The Doctor talks him down just enough that Phillips runs outside and explodes. The Doctor nabs the Master's dematerialization circuit from the body, then gets beaten up by circus people like a scene from the movie Freaks, before getting arrested by Autons in police uniforms. The Doctor just judo chops the Auton driver, and they crash the car. Then they spend 10 minutes getting chased through a rock quarry, because we're still watching Classic Who, while the Brigadier and Yates shoot at the Autons, even though they know full well the damn things are impervious to bullets. Back at Unit, the Doctor could give two shits about whatever the Brigadier is on about. He's got the Master's dematerialization circuit. You see, he's gonna go ahead and swap his out so he can GTFO. But then that shit doesn't work. And Smoke Bill is out of the TARDIS. Because the Master's dematerialization circuit is a Mark II. And the Doctor's TARDIS takes a Mark I. So now they're both stuck on Earth. This makes the Doctor laugh. Petty revenge achieved. The Master starts mass-producing killer plastic daffodils and has the Autons in giant carnival masks hand them out like the world's most demented life-size Funko Pops. The Doctor interviews the widow of the guy who got killed by that plastic doll, and then they bring it back to Unit, and since that little fucker is activated by heat, it starts to attack Joe. But Yates just comes back in and fills that plastic bitch full of holes. The Doctor figures out that heat was the thing that made it wake up. He also finds out Yates was gonna make cocoa with his Bunsen burner. Jesus Christ, Yates. The Master calls the Doctor on the phone just to say goodbye, then he activates a killer plastic telephone cord that tries to strangle him. Absolutely iconic. The Brigadier saves the Doctor by ripping the phone cord out of the wall. They mess around with one of the daffodils and the Doctor figures out they spray plastic film that suffocates people when activated by certain radio frequencies, mostly because one goes off in Joe's face. Unit heads to the quarry to blow up the Autons bus, but the Master kidnaps the Doctor and Joe as hostages. The Doctor uses Morse code on the brake lights to warn Unit about the daffodils, while Joe impresses everyone by being weirdly good at escapology. They then jump out of a moving vehicle. Don't try this at home, kids. The Doctor follows the Master up the radio tower, convinces him that the Nestings will probably just kill him once they arrive, and the two of them team up for 5 minutes to reverse the signal and yeet the Nesting invasion force back into space. The Autons all die too. Logical reasons be damned. The Master tries to surrender to a firing squad. We call that suicide by cop, boys and girls. Yates shoots him, and the Doctor immediately calls bullshit. It's just the plastic guy in a mask. And he would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for you damn kids. The real Master escapes in a coach like a cartoon villain. Sorry, plastics guy, but you got yourself hypnotized, so no funeral. The Doctor reveals he swapped the dematerialization circuits again, so now both he and the Master are stuck on Earth. He's weirdly happy about it. The end. Man, if you're a Pertwee fan, this one is an absolute classic. It's mean, creative, and has that perfect early 70s Unit energy where everything feels like it's held together with gaffer tape and the Brigadier's patience. Let's talk about the things that I liked. If you're still new to the channel, you may have missed that I have already mentioned that I'm not the biggest fan of Pertwee's Doctor. Now, you shouldn't take that to mean that I don't like him. I love all the Doctors. It's more the Earthbound stories and the fact that the third Doctor is super arrogant and mansplains a lot of the time. But when you add Delgado's Master into the mix, something special happens. The Master is an absolute bastard in this, and I love him for it. He hypnotizes people, builds killer furniture, leaves death dolls in cars, and calls the Doctor just to activate a murder phone cord. Does his plan make the most sense? No, but you can tell that Roger Delgado is having the time of his life and he's just so damn cool you tend to overlook it. The man walks into the room, cocks that eyebrow of his with his suit and goatee, and you can't help but love him. Delgado creates friction, and that friction humanizes Pertwee's Doctor. I wish it happened more in this story, but even so, when they finally meet, even if it's incredibly brief, it was really fun and engaging. Considering up to this point there wasn't a lot of talk about the Time Lords, and they were still very much a mystery on the show, it's pretty entertaining to watch them dance around who the Master is and why he's there. And Delgado and Pertwee handle it with sheer charisma anyway, so the viewer just accepts it all and enjoys it. Jo Grant's introduction actually works. She's completely unqualified, keeps f***ing things up, and the Doctor clearly wants to fire her, but she's so genuinely sweet and brave that he can't. It's a nice change from the hyper-competent Liz Shaw. Not that I disliked Liz, but her personality and the Doctor didn't mesh very well. Plus, Jo rescues the Doctor twice in this story and still manages to look like a lost puppy the whole time. And I like that she's always carrying that ring of different keys. I mean, I do have a lot of questions about it, like the f*** is this little ball of cuteness doing carrying around skeleton keys wherever she goes? But I like that little bit of continuity surrounding her character since it's a weird quirk and I like my companions a bit on the weird side. Yeah, she's a bit too sweet, but that works considering how grumpy the Doctor acts most of the time, that he's stuck on Earth with a broken dematerialization circuit, and we all know that he's a softie deep down, so Jo gets the stamp of approval from me. There are a lot of great, iconic, classic Who moments in this one. The killer plastic stuff is genuinely creative and mean. The chair is f***ing hilarious. The doll is creepy, especially for the time period, but still pretty damn funny every time the thing moves. The daffodils, the damn phone cord. It's all stupid in the best way. That's the magic sometimes of a show with a small budget and big ideas. It lends itself to these campy moments. It'd be one thing if it was just a product of the early 70s, but they rolled out the Candyman in 1988, and Mickey got eaten by the worst CGI trash can ever broadcast in 2005. You gotta love that long-term commitment to camp. Things I didn't like. The pacing of this thing was not that great. I know it's a staple of classic Who to meander about, so they could get the full 4 episodes worth of content. And hey, it's not as if New Who always has a tight 45-minute structure to its episodes either. But there's still a lot of this that felt disjointed. We spend a lot of time running around the quarry and the plastics factory, and all the while the Master's plan feels like it's moving in slow motion. And when you do finally get to see the Master's plan in full glory, it's pretty dumb and convoluted. Like, why do you go to the radio tower as one of the first things you do after stealing the little bit of Nestine aura or whatever? In fact, if the Master had just rearranged his big plan a little, he likely would have been way more successful at it. Come to Earth, take over the plastics factory with your hypnotism, make your plastic daffodils and distribute them, then go do your at the radio tower. And after watching this story several times for this review, I'm still not certain why I understand the circus people were needed. I mean, it's still more focused than a lot of other classic Who stories, but it does drag in places. Some of the Autons stuff feels really undercooked. They're scary when they're just standing there being creepy, but once they start handing out daffodils and giant masks, it gets a little silly. The big plan is to have the daffodils blast their sticky, quick-drying goo in 450,000 people's faces, cause chaos, then the Master will use the incoming Nestine to take over the Earth. Now, I get that the Master underestimates both the Doctor and the human race quite often, but every time we see the Nestine consciousness and the Autons, they either get defeated by high UHF radio waves or the signal it uses to control the Autons gets somehow interrupted. Now, I fully agree, the Autons are creepy. Those plastic, uncanny valley-looking bastards give me the ick whenever I see them. But if you can be defeated by a big antenna or by basically unplugging the signal, I have some supreme doubts about how easily the Nestine could take over the world. Things I didn't understand.
What?
Wait, UNIT just loaned out some of the Nestine consciousness to the National Space Museum? I'm sorry, what the f***? Brig, are you out of your f***ing mind? Those creepy plastic fuckers went about slaughtering unit men back when you first met this incarnation of the Doctor. And it's not like you can just shoot these mannequin weirdos in the face and be done with it. The Nestine nearly killed the Doctor in the process last time. If it hadn't been for Liz Shaw's quick thinking, the whole world would have died by these petroleum-based nightmares. But here we are, 1 year later, the National Space Museum asks if they can put the fucking thing on display, and the Brigadier is just like, sure, just keep it behind a glass case with no guard. You absolute buffoon! Even your daughter has the brains to keep all the weird-ass shit in the black archives and not lend alien goo out to some museum just because they said pretty please. And she nearly shot a dude in the face for littering.
The Brigadier signed the authorization.
Brigadier's an idiot.
Nitpick Corner! So when the Doctor is tied up in the little trailer near the end of this thing, he gives the longest Morse code message to UNIT in history. Think about this. He's tied up on the ground, hitting the brake light to send a message out to UNIT. And this is the full message.
That's it. Read that back, Benton.
Daffodils are lethal. Activated soon. Destroy immediately. Guard radio research station.
Now, I won't even play the whole thing for you because it takes a full 50 seconds and it'll give some of you an epileptic seizure. But you're telling me this man laid down and pumped the brakes for a good 3 to 5 minutes to get this message out? Dude, aside from the fucking Charlie horse that you would have ended up with by kicking the shit out of those brakes for that long, the Master or the Autons didn't notice what you were doing? Look, I get that UNIT isn't very bright. I bring it up every time we do one of their episodes. But in their current position, a simple flowers bad radio tower may have just sufficed. So I always love seeing new Time Lords. Whenever they pop up in Classic Who, it's usually a sit up and pay attention moment. But Bowler Hat Time Lord is a really odd choice. So he pops up, floating in the air, to do what? Warn the Doctor about the Master coming to Earth and the door that he's about to go into is booby-trapped? Yeah, sorry, Bowler Hat. If there's anything I know about the Doctor, he's gonna figure out both those things in the next 5 minutes anyway. You showing up to do that doesn't really move the story forward. It's really just there to inform the audience about the Master as a character without having the Doctor have to go into a lot of backstory. I had a lot of fun with Terror of the Autons. It's campy, snappy, and includes many of the things Classic Who fans enjoy. The addition of the Master to the overall story breathes fresh air into not only the show, but seemingly to Pertwee's Doctor as a character. The chemistry between Pertwee and Delgado was certainly special and made the Earthbound arc much stronger, even if they wrung that well as dry as they possibly could. I give Terror of the Autons a 7. It's not very deep, and the parts that stay with you are all camp, but it's a lot of fun so long as you turn off your brain a little and just enjoy it for what it is. So what happened to the commentary I promised last week? Well, I wrote a script delving into comparing the classic era versus the new era, but when I started really thinking about it, there's a third category that is the modern era, or the era post-Capaldi that feels separate from what came before it. So I wanted to give it more thought, and eventually I'll return to it and maybe post the video. But in the meantime, we'll continue to review classic stories and have a good time. And with my recent subscription to AMC Plus, we can start to review the New Who era very soon. And what about next time? We got a request from friend and fellow YouTuber Mr. Cuddy to review The Abominable Snowmen. Mr. Cuddy has some great commentary on Doctor Who and all things nerd related, so you should definitely check out his channel and subscribe to him. You won't regret it. He's a bit more personal than I am, in that he has a real human face instead of a cartoon pig head, but try not to hold that against him. I've linked his channel in the description, so go check him out once you're done listening to my dumbass. And next time, we'll finally get into the Troughton area, even if it's animated, which in the past has vexed me. But I've never watched this story before, so it should be fun to see it for the first time. And as always, nonsense. What you need, Doctor, as Miss Shaw herself often remarked, is someone to pass you your test tubes and tell you how brilliant you are. Salty Ham will fulfill that function admirably.
He's so suave.
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 And cool.
There's a strange man who just walked in the room. He smells like cologne and certain doom. He strokes his goatee while adjusting his sleeve. We call him Master Delgado. We call him Master Delgado. Life sucks a lot with the doctor on Earth. Stuck at unit, sucking his worth. He needs a foe like a story rebirth. In enters Master Delgado. He's got it, Master Delgado. It's almost like herdweed is more appealing. Earthbound art gives a better feeling from disposable dolls. He's making them all. Hypnosis is the name of the game. The doctor and he, they're almost the same, except one kills with chairs at the end of the day. Obey Master Delgado. Don't betray Master Delgado.
Holy poop, you made it. All the way to the end of the video. I get it if you feel sad and want more. It makes you a bit of a weirdo, but not to worry, I have more videos for you to enjoy. Here's one right here. Feel free to watch it. And if you want something different, go check out Mr. Cuddy's videos. Link in the description. And we'll see you next time with The Abominable Snowmen.